Alright guys, in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the recent Nintendo news because there's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of bad things and not as many good things, but there's still some good things to talk about. So this is just going to be kind of a recap. I'm going to give some of my thoughts on some of this stuff. So let's just get right into it, starting with some of the good news. So this morning, there was a Indie World, which was not insanely interesting, but we did get to see some very cool indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2 library. Again, not too much. It's just an Indie World. Nothing crazy, but it was very interesting at least. So if you have any interest in indie games, definitely go check it out if you haven't already. A lot of people are criticizing it, but hey, this is an indie world. Expect indie games. Can't hate the indie developers here. So yeah, let's keep rolling. Pretty soon here, starting in the next couple days, starting on the Saturday and Sunday. So this weekend they're doing a global jam or a global beta test for the new game Drag X Drive coming out. So it's going to start at 3 a.m. on Saturday PDT, and it's going to go until 7 a.m. and then they're going to do another one at 5 p.m. on Saturday to 9 p.m. So there's going to be some couple time slots. There's 2 time slots on Saturday. I'll enlarge this image so you can kind of see them better. But there's 2 time slots on Saturday, and then there's a time slot on Sunday. So if you're free on any of these times and this is a game you've been wanting to try out, definitely try it out. I'm definitely going to be trying to hit the Sunday time because I'm not going to be able to play Saturday. And for those who don't know, this game is only going to be $20. It's not going to be a full, price release, which I think would be insane if it was based on what we've seen. Seems like a very simple game, just a game they wanted to make to kind of show off how the mouse controls work and how you can use mouse controls on both Joy-Cons to kind of play a game. And in this case, it's rolling the wheelchair and then shooting basketballs. And I think it's a really cool idea for $20. So again, if this is something you are interested in trying, there are the beta times, and the game's only going to be $20 when it releases later this month. So, next thing, another good thing, the Nintendo Switch has reportedly sold over 6 million units since the launch. Within 7 weeks after launch, so basically 2 months, they sold over 6 million units, which is by far the biggest console launch of all time. I don't know why people thought the Switch 2 was going to be a Wii U situation. It is the exact opposite. This is projecting to be the best-selling console. Well, it already is the best-selling console of all time at launch, with an insanely high attach rate of Mario Kart World and a lot of people picking up Donkey Kong Bonanza as well. But also, I think it's going to end up becoming the most sold console of all time if these sales keep on going, which it seems like they are, because I see new people on Twitter all the time talking about how they just picked up their Switch 2. So a lot of people are still buying this thing. It's going to sell a lot, and it might end up becoming one of the best, if not the best, selling consoles of all time, just like the Switch 1 did, unless Sony somehow finds some more unreported PlayStation 2 releases like they seem to do every single year now. So, moving on to some of the bad stuff. The Nintendo Switch prices are increasing. Don't worry, the Switch 2 price is not increasing, at least not the console itself, but a lot of the accessories and the Switch 1s are. So we have a big list here. We're going to kind of quickly breeze through all of them. So here are the Nintendo Switch 1 price changes. So the OLED Switch is going to go to $400, which it was $350 previously. The regular Switch is going to go from $300 to $340. The Lite from $200 to $230. The Joy-Con controllers bundles are going to go from $80 to $90. The Switch 1 Pro controller is going from $70 to $80. The NES controller pack from $60 to $70. The Super Nintendo controller pack from $30 to $35. The N64 controller from $30 to $35. The Sega Genesis controller from $50 to $55. And the Joy-Con charging stand from $30 to $35. So, when it comes to the accessories, pretty much everything is getting a $5 or $10 increase, and then the consoles are going up varyingly. So for the Switch Lite, they're doing a $30 price increase. For the regular Switch, it's a $40 increase, and then for the OLED is a $50 increase. I do not know why they want the OLED to be $400. That is $50 less than the Switch 2. At that point, just save the $50, save $50 more to get the Switch 2. And I think that's might kind of be the point. I know they say it's for the tariffs, but I think they also really want people to buy the Switch 2 and get rid of their Switch 1s or trade in their Switch 1s. And a way to do that is to prevent people from buying Switch 1s increase the prices, make them closer to Switch 2, more people will think, oh, well, why buy Switch 1 when the price is so close to the Switch 2? I'll just say I can get a Switch 2. I think they're really trying to push people to get Switch 2s, despite their marketing seeming like they're trying to still support Switch 1 content with games like Legends EA, Metroid Prime, Tamagotchi Life next year. I think they want to keep the good image of, hey, we're going to still support the Switch 1. However, they really do want people to kind of move on and buy the Switch 2 because they can make more money that way. So now let's talk about the Switch 2 price increases. So the console itself is staying the same, which is very, very good. I think a lot of people were scared that it was going to increase in price, myself included, but it's a good thing that it is not, staying at $450, $500 for the Mario Kart World Bundle. So the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller was $85 and is now going up to $90. The Joy-Con 2 pack, the Joy-Con controllers pack, is going from $95 to $100, which is crazy. Joy-Cons costing $100 is just insane to me. Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controller is going from $65 to $70. The Joy-Con 2 straps was $14 and is going to $15, a whole $1 increase there. And the Nintendo Switch 2 dock set is going from $120 to $125. So again, the increases are not as insane here. The biggest one here is just the $5 increases. Everything's a $5 increase except for the straps. It's a whopping $1 increase. And then there are a couple other price increases, which these won't matter as much to most people, but they still exist. So the Legacy amiibos, i.e. like the old Animal Crossing amiibos, the Smash Bros amiibos, the Smash 4 amiibos, the Super Mario series amiibos, the older Zelda amiibos, whatever they consider legacy amiibos, are going from $16 retail to $20 retail, which I think was to be expected considering what the new prices of the new amiibos are. Like the new Donkey Kong amiibo is like $35 or something like that, and like the Street Fighter ones are $40. So I was kind of expecting a legacy amiibo increase. They're also increasing the 2-pack amiibo sets, going from 30 to 35 or 40. There's not a confirmation set, and I think it's going to depend on the pack as well, and like what amiibos it includes. And then for some reason, the Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo was $100 and is now $110. I've never heard about this until these changes have happened. I don't even know what this really looks like, but I assume it's an alarm clock. That's $110 now for some reason. I have no idea. But those are all the price increases. Hopefully this does not leak into the Switch 2's price itself. I think, obviously, since the Switch 2 console typically in 99% of the time is a one-time purchase, they make most of their money through accessories and games, which is why the games and accessories have gone up in price and not the console itself. So moving on, there is a new patent for a crank and a clickable wheel accessory for the Joy-Con 2. So this is what the schematic looks like for the patent. As you can see, they attach on kind of like the straps that you get for when you put the straps on and use it in mouse mode. It's going to attach on magnetically, and this one for the left Joy-Con is a crank, kind of like a fishing rod handle, and then this one on the right is some kind of wheel that also clicks in like a button, but can spin like a wheel as well. Not too sure what this wheel one could be for. However, this crank one could easily be for some fishing games. I think maybe for the next Animal Crossing, they're going to kind of hopefully flesh out and emphasize the fishing aspect a little bit more. We can get some more stuff there, and maybe we could just get also a new game. I was talking about this to one of my friends earlier, and I would really like to see a Super Mario fishing sports game, because myself, I really love fishing in real life and in video games. I do it all the time, and if a game has fishing, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I would love to see a Mario sports fishing game, especially considering they're kind of trying to bring sports games back. Like, we got Tennis Open, and that sold decently well. We got the new Mario Strikers, that sold pretty well. So hopefully, maybe they'll branch out a little bit. We'll get like a Mario Fishers or something. I don't know, Mario Fishing League. I don't know, a new Bass Pro Shop, for like how we had Bass Pro for the Wii. A new one of those would be pretty funny as well. But there's definitely going to be fishing games that involve this, and I hope we get some first party stuff like a Mario fishing sports game, something like that. And again, no idea what this other one could be for. It could be in relation to the crank. I have absolutely no idea. I'm assuming since the crank is on the left one and this one showcased to be on the right one, these are going to come together in a package. So we'll see, but I assume these are being patented together and are going to come in a package, so whatever the crank is going to do, this is going to have something to do with it, and vice versa. Another thing is the Nintendo survey for the physical and digital games has actually been shut down. So there was a survey where you could kind of give your thoughts on whether you prefer digital games, physical games, or if you like the idea of purely physical games, the game is on the cartridge, or if you prefer the new game key cards they're trying out. And since they have released this, like, I think about a week ago or so, they have already taken it down because so many people have been making their voices heard about how they don't like the key cards. They prefer the games on the cartridges. They want to own their games physically because if anything happens and servers shut down in the future, you won't be able to download your games anymore. So they want physical games, and that makes total sense. Me personally, I do buy my games digitally most of the time, unless I buy for legacy systems. Like, I own a Xbox 360, and I do purchase physical Xbox 360 games. I do not mod my system and put all the games on there, because that's what I like. But for systems like the Switch 2, like newer system, well, I mean, really, the only new system I have is the Switch 2, and previously the Switch 1, I would always buy my games digitally. So it's not really an issue to me, but I understand why game key cards are a problem, and a lot of people want them gone, and Nintendo seemingly is working on a fix. I didn't include it in my tabs here, but they are also reportedly working on other game card sizes, because right now the only available option for developers is a 64 gigabyte game cartridge on the or a 64 gigabyte storage on the game cartridge. But it seems like Nintendo is also looking into getting different sizes, maybe 16 gigs for smaller games, 32 gigs, 128 gigs, etc. They're probably going to price those physical releases accordingly, depending on how big the SD cards are going to be needed for developers who put their games on physical. But hopefully this is kind of a sign that people don't like the game key cards and we would prefer the physical cards, and Nintendo is kind of responding to that. And again, just another price increase here. The Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons, $95 to $100. I think we covered that over here. I'm not really sure. Yeah, we covered that already. I don't know why I still had that open. But yeah, that's going to be everything. So quick recap. Indie World wasn't really that impressive, but it was still interesting. Drag X Drive is doing beta tests this weekend, and the game's going to be $20. It comes out later this month. Nintendo Switch 2 has sold over 6 million units in 7 weeks. A bunch of Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 accessory and console price changes, a new patent for a new Switch 2 accessory, and really this seems to be like the first Switch 2 accessory that's not, a wheel for Mario Kart, which is interesting. And then again, the Nintendo Switch survey stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this little discussion. Let me know what you guys think about all this kind of stuff in the comments. I've already told you all my opinions, so do me a favor, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know if you want to see more content coverage like this video. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.